Judge Faith Jenkins has settled comfortably into her life as a television personality and as the wife of R&B singer Kenny Lattimore. This was one coupling we didn't expect, and once they went public with their romance, it appeared that they were making a mad dash to the altar. Although we're huge fans of both of them separately, there are several things about their relationship that gave us, well, you know.
Your second husband, Kenny Lattimore, is gay.
If you can't stand it when we dig into other people's business, don't bother watching this video. For the rest of y'all, you know this is about to be some mess, so be sure to scoop up something to munch on at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of beef and bacon jerky, cheddar bacon popcorn, and butter toffee peanuts. You know we love us a good backstory, and this story wouldn't be complete without giving you some insight into Faith and Kenny's respective lives before they became husband and wife. Kenneth Lattimore was born on April 10, 1970 in Washington, D.C. At the age of 5, he experienced the unthinkable. During his episode of Unsung, he said the incident made him dislike men for several years, and he would jump whenever someone touched him. In an open letter for the Griot website, Kenny said the incident made him retreat within himself, and he became so shy he could barely speak to anyone. Eventually, in his teenage years, he said God intervened and compelled him to greet people with a hug. He wrote, "Little did I know this simple gesture would begin to break down some of the physical barriers I had built in my life." But still, he carried the shame for many years, and it left him feeling unworthy of being in a relationship. He didn't know how his partners would react, so he buried the information for many years. At some point, he decided it was time to put the past behind him and get on with his life. In 2001, he met singer Chanté Moore. Their first conversation lasted 5 hours, and Kenny said he knew she was the one. After 6 months of dating, they got married. Not only did he commit to Chanté, but he committed to being a stepfather to her daughter, Sophia, from her previous marriage to Kadeem Hardison. They collaborated on music together, and they welcomed their son, Kenny Jr., in 2003. The birth of their son brought Kenny's childhood experience back to the surface. During a 2007 interview with Essence magazine, he stated he was hyper-vigilant and protecting his son's innocence was his top priority. In January 2011, Chanté was tired of having a man at home, so she filed for divorce. Kenny seemingly blamed her for the demise of their marriage. When he told the Tom Joyner Morning Show, people get into relationships and feel like they have the things that they need, and maybe they really don't, and maybe they haven't dealt with their issues and who they are. 2 years later, Chanté appeared on R&B Divas LA and claimed Kenny had served her with papers to gain full custody of their son. During the show's reunion episode, which was hosted by Wendy Williams, Wendy brought up a rumor about Kenny's sexuality.
The streets have talked for years, wondering whether your second husband, Kenny Lattimore, is gay. And perhaps that was the nature of your divorce.
No.
But you're not answering the first question.
Well, that's not for me to respond to.
After hearing about the episode, Kenny told Singer's Room website that Chanté's response was irresponsible and reckless. He added, "It hurt our son, it hurt other people, and it was unnecessary." Chanté wasn't done though. During an interview with Juicy magazine, she was asked about Kenny's sexuality once again. This time, she said she had no idea what his life was like before they met. Then she added, "Being that he isn't my husband anymore, I leave it up to him to answer because that's his life." From then on, the public became more and more fixated on Kenny's private life. Even Chanté's R&B Divas co-star Lil Mo chimed in about the allegations during an interview with the Jasmine brand. Lil Mo stated, "Truth be told, people say Usher's gay. People say Justin Bieber's gay. They say everybody's gay. So I don't know. I've never seen him with a man." Despite all of the drama, Kenny was open to finding wife number 2. During an interview, he said, "When I do it again, I will leave other people out, except those who are truly ministering and feeding into the success of my marriage." Meanwhile, Faith was in New York and struggling to find a suitable partner. In her book titled Sis, Don't Settle, which we've also linked for you in the description box, she said as she got older, more people began to question why she didn't have a man. Due to all the pressure from people who were anxious for her to settle down, Faith admitted to Essence magazine that the scrutiny caused her to jump into relationships with the wrong men. After another breakup, she decided it was time to take a step back and write down a list of 50 qualities she needed in a partner. She also set some ground rules for herself. You will not hold on to a relationship when it's time for it to end. You will let it go. She also wrote a note to herself that her husband was on the way. 6 months later, she reached out to her friend, gospel producer Aaron Lindsay, to see if he knew anyone who could help her record some Christmas music. Aaron suggested his friend Kenny, and he also mentioned that Faith and Kenny might actually be a good match for each other. Aaron coordinated for Faith and Kenny to meet for lunch, and when Faith saw Kenny in the flesh, she noticed that his clothes were tailored to perfection and his smile brightened up the entire room. However, she wasn't sure if they would have much in common. She always thought she would marry a lawyer and become part of a power couple. She wasn't particularly interested in dating an R&B singer who was constantly on the road and had countless female fans. She told Us Weekly she didn't feel any sparks at first, and Kenny didn't think she was interested because she wasn't openly flirting with him. Faith was also in a bit of a vulnerable position. She was unemployed at the time, and she didn't know how Kenny would respond to her being in between jobs. However, after a 2-hour conversation, she knew he was someone special. Kenny was kind, humble, smart, and genuine. She felt a sense of peace and calm when she was with him. By their 4th date, it clicked for both of them. Looking back on her list of 50 requirements, Kenny checked every box, except for his height. Faith really wanted a man over 6 feet tall, but she cut 5'10" Kenny some slack. So at this point in their lives, Kenny was trying to drown out all the chatter about his preference, and Faith, as a 40-plus woman in the spotlight, was still feeling pressured to find a partner. Do you see where we're going with this? They became an item and set some clear boundaries from the start. They knew they wanted to get married at some point, so they decided that intimacy could wait until after they became husband and wife. According to My Well Clinic website, researchers found that those who wait until marriage compared to those who don't report significantly higher relationship satisfaction and better communication patterns. And waiting seemed to really work for Faith and Kenny. They got to know each other without their judgment being clouded. When marriage became a more serious discussion, Kenny kept his promise to only surround himself with people who were feeding into the success of their relationship. In her book, Faith wrote that they had a community of, quote, relationship board of directors. She and Kenny ensured that each person they went to for advice and support was in a loving marriage and was committed to seeing Kenny and Faith go all the way. 2 people they brought into their inner circle included their mutual friend and their matchmaker, Aaron Lindsay, and his wife, Adrienne. They also leaned on the advice of Devon Franklin and his then-wife, Megan Good. In her book, Faith wrote that Devon's candor made him the perfect resource. She also admired the God-fearing marriage he and Megan had. Faith went on to describe Devon as being such a blessing in their lives that she and Kenny asked him to officiate their future wedding. Faith brought up pre-engagement counseling to Kenny, who agreed it was a great idea. After realizing they were indeed a good match and Faith being understanding of Kenny's past, Kenny was ready to seal the deal. In September 2019, while taking a stroll through Central Park, Kenny got down on one knee and asked for her hand in marriage, and Faith said yes. So 11 months after writing that note to herself that she would meet her husband, Faith got engaged to the man of her dreams. They took to their Instagram accounts to share the news. In his post, Kenny wrote that Faith was the total package. He also thanked Devon and Megan for their leadership and for their 2017 co-authored book titled The Wait, which Kenny and Faith used as a resource. In case you're unaware, The Wait, which we've also linked for you in the description box, is all about how Devon and Megan abstained from intimacy until they were married and how waiting can help transform any relationship. Kenny and Faith started planning their wedding and invited 300 guests, including Stevie Wonder, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and MC Lyte. In March 2020, just as the pandemic was wreaking havoc on the world, they became husband and wife, with Devon officiating the ceremony at a church in downtown LA. Wendy Williams announced the news of their nuptials on an episode of her talk show, and she took the moment as an opportunity to reignite the rumors about Kenny's sexuality. Here's a clip from the show that we obtained from the Jasmine brand.
Oh, and Judge Faith, wait, the best part of the story, congratulations on your wedding over the weekend. She married who? Kenny Lattimore. Judge Faith, I have a secret to tell you, but I can't. Nope.
Is this a case of where there's smoke, there's fire? Or was Wendy just being a hater? In August 2020, Faith finally landed a job as the new judge on divorce court. She also started writing her relationship book based on her personal experiences and the cases she handled on the TV court show. As soon as the book was released in November 2021, we saw more red flags. Here at RRG, we've read dozens of memoirs written by celebrities who think they're qualified to give relationship advice, all while their marriages are crumbling behind the scenes. We've linked a few of them for you in the description box. As for Faith, she had only been married to Kenny for a year and a half when she decided to share her dating advice with the world like she was some kind of relationship expert or something. And of course, Devon gave her book a cosign. In a quote that was printed in an advertisement for her book, Devon wrote that Faith's wisdom and insight will motivate everyone to never settle for less than their worth. While Faith was promoting her book, Kenny was promoting his 8th studio album called Here to Stay. He told CBN News that Faith became his muse and the inspiration behind his new music, and we kind of wonder if he once said the same thing about Shantae. And although they tried to surround themselves with the best examples of love, their inner circle confidants began to crumble when Devon filed for divorce from Megan in December 2021 after 9 years of marriage. In 2022, Faith was replaced by Star Jones on divorce court, and as of this video, she's now the executive producer and host of the Oxygen series Killer Relationship. And in August 2022, 44-year-old Faith and 52-year-old Kenny announced they were expecting their first child together. We're happy Faith and Kenny found love with one another, but this is one relationship we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. As for now, we wish them nothing but the best as they await the arrival of their bundle of joy. If you enjoyed this video, let us know down below, and thanks for watching RRG.